Welcome into the Cubs Recap Podcast, a presentation of our Recap channel on YouTube, REKAP, and available audio only everywhere you get your favorite podcasts. With my partner, Gordon Wittenmeyer, I'm David Kaplan, and thank you to all of you. We've been setting record numbers with our podcast views and downloads, thousands of you, so we appreciate you greatly for listening, sharing, and spreading the word. Please click that notification bell so you know every time the channel posts new content. Gordon, great to see you. Before we get into what we're going to yell at each other about, I wanted to take a minute and just send our deepest, most heartfelt sympathies to the family of Tom Hellman, better known as Otis, the clubhouse manager emeritus. He wasn't traveling with the team after the 22 season, but he'd 50 years in baseball and still a fixture around Wrigley Field. And he fell last week, just 66 years of age, hit his head and passed away tragically on Wednesday night in the hospital. So our deepest sympathies, because he was one of the best I ever dealt with him.
One of the best. I mean, I heard he slipped on some ice at his home in Indiana. Yeah, awful, and it just didn't recover. But this guy, he touched a lot of people in two cities, because he spent a decade in Cincinnati with the Reds, and then spent the last 40-something years with the Cubs.
Right.
Was still a huge Bengals fan, and just a throwback. I mean, these guys, for people who don't know what baseball looks like behind the scenes, these guys are the lifeblood. These guys, whatever you want to call it, lifeblood, backbone, they make the organization run on a day-to-day basis. And
they do.
It's crazy the amount of stuff they do and the relationships over the years. But for a guy to do it that many years and have the reputation he did, it says a lot about him. And he's just a great guy. It's a huge loss for the Cubs and the game.
Yeah, Tom Ricketts issued a really nice statement. And again, our deepest sympathies to him and to his family. He was so excited when the Bengals had a chance last year against the Chiefs, and the Bengals are playing in the Super Bowl. He was so excited because he was a diehard Bengals fan. In fact, kept a Bengals helmet in the Cubs clubhouse.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. All right, now I would like to talk to you about the signing of Hector Neris, and then I looked at the top 10 players in free agency this year. 4 of them still remain unsigned, and all 4 of them are your friend Scott Boris's clients. And the article that I read today out of New York was he was asking the Yankees, Blake Snell, one of them, would like to be a Yankee. He wants 9 years, $270 million. And the Yankees said, we'll sign Marcus Stroman. Thanks for coming. And these 4 guys, Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell, Cody Bellinger, and Matt Chapman, are all still sitting there, and we are taping this now in February.
And 3 of those guys are impact left-handers at what they do, which is extremely valuable in this game. And the starting pitcher, look, Snell's not an innings monster by any means, but the innings he pitches
high leverage,
spectacular.
He's very good.
And it's crazy. It's crazy that these guys aren't signed. Which probably tells you a lot about the market. I heard you and Jay Hood talking the other day about the market, and I've heard some other people, I think on your station, talk about how it's a market as slow as we've seen in a long time. But that's really not true. In 2017 to 2018 and even into 2019, I believe those were some glacially slow markets. You remember Harper and Machado in the same year didn't sign until well past the first of the year. Arrieta was the same year and didn't sign until spring training. So we've seen this before, and there were whispers of collusion then. I would suggest that we've got sort of collusion adjacent behavior going on. They've gotten so good at sort of communicating what their industry goals are among the owners and GMs that you occasionally see the quiet part spoken out loud among some baseball people in recent years, but they've really clamped down on holding the line on, except for, the Dodgers and the Yankees and some teams in windows like the Padres the last few years. So that's part of it. But here's the other part that a lot of people are missing. This Diamond Sports, Bally Sports, RSN thing, that's almost half the teams in baseball that are broadcast regionally on Bally Sports. They're in bankruptcy court. They're now negotiating. They've got Amazon injecting a bunch of money into them. They've got an agreement in place for Amazon to put what, $100 plus million into the operation. And now Bally's is making noise about keeping some of these teams and honoring their contracts beyond 2024, which as recently as a month ago wasn't the case. They were going to cut ties with everybody at the end of 2024. And so there's still a lot of uncertainty going on with what a lot of teams' revenues are going to look like. I think that's a big part of what's gone on in this market.
I also believe that not just Jed Hoyer, but other teams have said, hang on a second now. Why should I buy middling players, journeymen, and pay them a lot of money when I got this kid, Christopher Morel. I've got these prospects.
Wait, who said journeyman? Who said journeyman and pay him a lot of money? You think
that's
you consider
what Jeimer Candelario is, a journeyman?
Is he well, okay, I'll give you that. I'll let you have that definition. Is he an upgrade over what you got? But put him aside for a minute. Is Bellinger a journeyman?
No.
Okay. Are some of these other guys you're talking about journeyman?
Jordan Montgomery is a good pitcher.
I think he's better than journeyman.
Yeah, but he's not a star.
I think in this day and age of starting pitching, he's such a rarity that a reliable guy, 6-inning guy that can help you win games. That he's much more than a journeyman, and so I just be careful of like deciding to sort of skew this definition toward, well, I'm not going to pay for junk type of thing. We're not saying that. The Chicago freaking Cubs can go out and upgrade their roster in every effing area. And Jeimer Candelario, for being a quote journeyman, which I'll give you that definition, only got 3 years and $45 million. That's not going to break anybody's bank in the Cubs stratosphere of things, and it might help you bridge to your next guy. Plus, he can play both corner infield spots and or DH for you, so he's got some versatility. Now, that I only bring him up because you brought him up, but I don't think he's junk, and I don't think he's getting overpaid in 2024.
Okay. Jordan Montgomery, and I didn't say that Candelario's junk, but a 230-some hitting guy is a journeyman. And I'm not giving him $45 million when I got a prospect who I think might be here by the end of the season.
Might be here. Yeah, let's talk about your prospects.
Hold on
Prospects
a second.
are called prospects for a reason, Cap.
Hold on a second. Before we get there, Jordan Montgomery has been in the big leagues since 2017. How many times since 2017? Not exactly a small sample size, Dr. Wittenmeyer. How many times has he won double-digit games?
Don't give me – now you're going to tell me when. Go ahead and give me the number.
Once. Last year, he won 10 between two teams, one of whom was really good. He had great run support. I mean, come on now. What are we doing here? I mean, if you're telling me Jordan Montgomery, we're going to give him, I don't know, 25, 30 million a year. No, and that's what Boris does. He preys on the weak owner. Guess what? The owner of my favorite team does not engage. Jed makes those decisions. He doesn't pick up the phone and go, hey, Tom, screw Jed. You and I get a deal done. Nope. Call my team president.
He does get involved. He does get involved in those big deals. He gets involved in all of the big deals.
Who?
Tom does.
Tom does not get involved on what Jed does with the amount of money he's given. He doesn't deal with Boris.
But when the big contracts come up with the multi-year, like Swanson, Jason Hayward before him, go ask who was in some of those meetings.
I'm not talking about meetings. In the end, he's not sitting down making a deal with Boris like the goofs in Washington and other teams have done. Colorado, who got snookered for your guy, Chris Bryant, for $182 million.
I'm not going to defend that contract. there were two teams bidding for him, so they weren't bidding against themselves. But I'm not going to defend the contract. What I will say is Chris Bryant, when healthy, was the best hitter the Cubs had the entire Cubs career. His entire Cubs career. He's a terrific hitter. And he remains a terrific hitter. He just doesn't stay on the field. And then there's all kinds of
worth 182 freaking million.
And we can discuss all that. But by the way, I think the Cubs, I believe the Cubs offer when they offered him an extension
was
for the
200
years,
plus bonuses.
I believe the years covered would have been very similar to what he got in Colorado.
Yeah, and the Cubs are thanking their lucky stars. He's not built for this market.
Okay, so Cap, let me ask you this. Do you want to freaking win? Do you want to win?
Yes.
Do you want to win this year and next year and the year after?
Yes, but I don't want to
be and take your time forever on this. There's an incredibly small shelf life to athletes at the professional level.
Yes.
And so, yeah, okay, I got Dansby Swanson for 7 years. Well, those 7 years aren't all equal. So I got him right now in his prime. So I got Nico Horner entering his prime. He's right there. I got some young pitcher. I got Justin Steele in a good place right now. I'm in a place now. If I'm the Cubs, I got to think I'm winning now. Let's go get these guys now. I'm not sitting there saying, well, in a year, this guy, I really like this prospect. He might really be good in a year. That's a loser way of thinking when you've got the kind of resources the Cubs do. They don't have to do that, and they shouldn't do that.
Correct. But Gordon, you can't just pay because you got the money. They got to be good players.
You got to pay somebody, Cap. You can't just go the whole damn market and let everybody fall off the board without making any serious friggin' efforts. Look, I got a theory on this, by the way.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
So let's say they get Bellinger at the end of the day. Let's say they get him for roughly their price, maybe something in between what he wants and what they like. We already know they got Imanaga, who roughly, I think he roughly he replaces Stroman. You know, if you consider Stroman a 2023 All-Star, and a healthy Imanaga, a healthy Stroman, maybe that's roughly replacing him. Bellinger replaces Bellinger. And you got the rookie Bush at first from the Dodgers, who looks really good. And it's nice that you're going to be able to give him an opportunity, but you don't know what you're going to get out of him.
But you got to play these guys. He was the
I agree.
player of the year.
I'm not done yet. I agree. Wow. So that's fine. Whatever. If you got him, you got to play him. You got a plan to play him. Who'd you have last couple of years? Hosmer, and you tried out Mervis there. Okay, fine. So now it's going to be Bush's turn. Let's see what he does. Okay, fine. Still haven't figured out third base yet. You got your corner outfield spots, fine, and you added Neris. That's the one true upgrade that I see. And here's what I think.
And Imanaga.
I just said I think Imanaga replaces Stroman. I don't know that that's an upgrade over 2023. So it might be. It might wind up being, but it roughly replaces him on the roster. Mm-hmm. In other words, they're essentially setting themselves up, and this is if they add a significant bat, to run it back out there. And so my theory is that if they do that, if they're just running the same team back out there with some prospects sprinkled in along the way, mm-hmm. then their belief is that the reason that they didn't make the playoffs, the difference in making the playoffs and being a roughly 500 team, a couple games over, was David Ross and Craig Counsell. That they think the manager would make the difference between turning them into essentially what the Diamondbacks were last year if you run the same team out there again. I think that, and if that's the case, and I do think that there's some merit to looking at it that way, if they don't add more than, say, bringing back Bellinger, and that's a big if, then that's a dangerous way to think.
Look, Gordon, they have got the #1 ranked farm system. They have got a chance to have some good young players finally make an impact, and they got a manager willing to play said young kids. So why should I go out and go, whoop-de-doo, we signed Jamer Candelario for $3 and $45, or whoop-de-doo, we signed some middling reliever with an ERA over 5, but boy, oh boy, he's been around the game, and we're
I bet you go
money.
sign Josh Hader. Why don't you go sign Josh Hader? He got $98 million. He got essentially Edwin Diaz's contract. Why don't you go sign him? He's been friggin' dominant.
Okay.
And there's no reason to think he won't be.
Maybe the guy that managed him for all those years went, nah, I'm good. We're good.
Could be. Could be. But why are you throwing out names like you are instead of like real players who you could have gotten for your resources?
Gordon, I want Bellinger here 100%. And then I want to see what Michael Busch does. I want to see if Matt Shaw's up here this season. I want to see if Cade Horton, the #1 minor league pitching prospect in our system, he's top, what do they say? The second best minor league pitcher in baseball. He's the 30th ranked prospect overall. I want to see if this son of a bitch can pitch for us. Why do I want to go pay money? Oh, wow, we got whoever it is locked up for 6 years at 100 and whatever million. Oh, I got this kid coming here. Now it's going to be better than all of them.
Why do you think that's going to prevent you from seeing what he's got? I mean, you need 8-9 starters every year. I think most teams last year used in the neighborhood of 15 starters last year. So there's times when even your star 9-figure starting pitcher who goes on the IL, there's times when that's not serious, you're going to get a 2-week stretch to bring in one of the guys in the wings and see what he's got. So, or he becomes the pitcher you add in September and you see what he's got.
Look, they've got nothing but money.
What's that?
They've got nothing but money. And if the right players are out there, I expect my freaking team to never tell me we can't afford anybody. They're the Chicago Cubs. I just don't want to sign guys who are, he's okay, but we spent the money, because that's what they've done in the past. I want to let my kids play. I want to see what they can do.
You know what I'd like to see is an approach more similar to the way Theo approached it when he got pieces in place. And that was, now I'm going to win, and I'm going to win now. I'm going to use the resources I have, and I'm going to win.
Gordon, some of the trades that they made, and Jed's part of that, were some of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
Look, I'm not saying I've criticized some of the moves, the long-term plan as much as anybody. I mean, you wrote a book on the friggin' plan, and I don't think the plan was all that friggin' ingenious or great. I think that it worked, but it worked they actually admittedly got lucky on a few players that made all the difference in the world. So, but there were plenty of mistakes along the way. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if I'm a friggin' fan, I want to see my team go out there and try to use the resources available to them and try. Not tell me they're going to try in a year. We've already seen that the last couple of years with these guys, where they've gone out and got a guy, haven't really gone in all the way. They got Swanson for the long term, but didn't really go in all the way last year. They got Tyone. The year before, they got Suzuki. So, and Stroman. So they added these pieces. Now, after these last couple of years of seeing that, if I'm a Cubs fan right now, I want to see him grab this division by the effing throat. There's no reason they can't. The Cardinals finished last season down. Keep them down. Kick them while they're down. They're going to get back up. They signed 3 pitchers. They're going to be better this year. How much better? I don't know. Corbin Burns is still the best pitcher in the division. Milwaukee's not going away if he stays healthy. And Cincinnati's got a huge, young, exciting core. They could be coming fast. And by the way, Pittsburgh thinks they can friggin' win. They went and signed a goddamn closer. So, you got the resources to put your foot on the throat of this division, resources that only the Cardinals can come close to. And they're down right now. You should be doing that. You should be doing that now, and then projecting out forward. Like, do it now, and then now what do we got to do for the next year and the next year, which they're perfectly capable of doing. They're doing that. But don't play the patient game. Don't ask me to be any more patient if I'm a Cubs fan.
I'm not. What I'm saying to you is, rather than signing veteran guys who are okay, you tell me they're getting Ohtani, all in, spend them, whatever it is. You tell me Yamamoto wants to be here, let's go. You're telling me Mike Trout's a free agent, he wants to be a Cub, let's go. I'm tired of paying for journeyman players getting over freaking paid. Period. That's my point. I want to play my kids.
Then pay 9 figures for a couple of these superstars that are still out there, or at least one of them. Go pay the 9 figures. Go get these guys. Go get guys that are impact guys. And if you miss, well, you're one of the few teams in baseball that can afford to miss once in a while.
Well, first of all, Cody Bellinger will be 9 figures.
Okay.
Go
get it done.
Who else of those other 3 guys would you pay 9 figures to?
I wouldn't mind one of those starting pitchers, and it just kind of depends on, like, what are we talking about? 9 figures, how many years, and what the AAV is. I mean, it's really all about the AAV, and we've talked about that ad nauseum. It's all about the AAV because it's about the luxury tax threshold.
That would be average annual value to
luxury tax threshold. I don't give a shit it's the cost of doing business when you talk about these 9-figure contracts. I'm going to go pay Jason Hayward 184 for 8 years, and he's going to give me what he gave me. Forget the World Series speech and all that. Forget that. He got overpaid. Okay. Did it work for their AAV? Did that kill their payroll? No. I would argue that other things killed their payroll as they declined. Was it a good contract? No. But you can afford to just manage your luxury tax threshold, and the rest takes care of itself. I don't care if you overpay a guy if you're trying to win. You're not, if it's an overpay out of the chute, nobody else is offering that. Jason Hayward, for instance, had multiple $200 million offers on the table. So he wasn't overpaid according to the market at the time. That doesn't bother me and it shouldn't bother you as a fan. It's not your money.
You know what your problem is? You're too old.
I got lots of them. Tell me what my problem is.
You're too old school. You've got to expand your mind and go, you know what? We got these freaking kids. I'm going to give them a chance to play because I'm tired of
That's not old school or new school, Cap.
I'm tired of turning on the game and going, who the F is that guy? That son of a bitch is killing us. He's 22 years of age. Why don't we have a guy like that? Because Gordon Wittenmeyer runs baseball ops and he only wants to spend money on veteran guys.
Who do you think you have? I mean, Juan Soto came up when that team was competitive and he was 19 years old. There's room on competitive teams for good players to come up and play. And so tell me, I mean, who is just so frigging good that Rossi was just Christopher Morel? Maybe, but in the opportunities he got, he was hit or miss. There were good times and bad times, and we'll see what he does. The fact is, Christopher Morel it's tough to nail him to a position because he's not great in the field, and maybe he's not good in the field. I mean, these are issues too. So they had Jorge Soler, for example. I mean, he's become an all-star since he left, but where was he going to play? I mean, he couldn't stay healthy when they did play him.
I don't want to give guys like that away for 1-year rentals. I understood the Wade Davis thing.
There was nothing wrong with that trade. And I didn't see you criticizing it at the time. You can't go back after the fact and say that he was, but on Jorge Soler was a redundant.
Your guy Quintana, I'm getting more if I'm giving up my 2 best prospects. I'm sorry. That was a dumbass trade.
You just brought up a different trade.
I just said, let's talk about the Quintana trade. Dumb in every way, shape, or form. And then I hear from Theo.
At the time, it was completely justifiable.
No, it was stupid.
No, the only difference was, like, you would have gone back in time and gotten Verlander. I would have too.
I said that then.
That's fine. We know why they didn't do it. We know why they made the decision they made, but they went and got the pitcher at that deadline who did make the difference in them getting to the playoffs and the NLCS.
Oh, my God. They gave up their two best prospects and said, yeah, just give us that guy who's really pretty mediocre, because
this is what I'm talking about.
I get the phone call from Theo. Don't you understand? Then it allowed us to sign whoever the hell else Tyler Chatwood, Brandon Morrow, and
those were the biggest mistakes.
Let me know how those guys did for us.
That was the offseason that buried that window of that competitive window. That was the offseason that buried it. And it was those three signings and Darvish at the time, because by the time Darvish was good, they were already cycling out of that window. And so that was a horrible winter by the front office. That's what buried them. These other decisions in and of themselves did not bury them. It was a collection of decisions, but that one offseason killed them. And what their dereliction, their malpractice that offseason was far worse than any negative impact you want to ascribe to Joe Madden in that period, when you wind up firing him at the end of his contract.
Don't disagree there.
And so, I thought 2018, with what he was handed after that offseason, he did his best managing job. They won 95 freaking games with Tyler Chatwood opening the season in the rotation, with Darvish spending half the year on the IL and not producing the other half. And in fact, those two guys combined for a negative WAR, and they only got a half the season out of Brandon Morrow.
All I'm telling you is, and I'll let you go at this, when I look and I go, wow, I got Dylan Cease, who a White Sox front office exec said to me, if I'm betting on anybody as a young prospect I've watched, it's that dude.
Wait, so I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there. What did your Chicago Cubs boys tell you at the time? He was a reliever to them at the time.
Well, that was an awful job of evaluating.
Okay,
them.
So if they keep him, he's not even a starting pitcher for them.
I don't believe that.
They had punted on him as a starter, and you know that.
They didn't think he could make it.
That was part of their problem in player development at the time. That was part of their pitching issues at the time in player development. They punted on guys way too quick into bullpen roles.
That's my point. You're making my point for me. I want to play my kids. I don't want to watch Dylan Cease in a White Sox freaking uniform.
Let me bring up this. You brought up on your radio show the other day. Oh, they got it, and you just brought it up on a pocket. Number one farms, whatever, top 3 farm system, whatever, by all accounts. They got how many guys in the top 100? 5 guys?
7.
7 guys. Let me 2014.
Take that.
2014. Arizmendi Alcantara, top 100 prospect. KB, number 8 prospect overall. Addison Russell, 14th prospect overall. Jorge Soler, top 50 prospect. Javi Baez, number 5 prospect overall. Prior to that, you had guys like Vitters, Brett Jackson, Matt Caesar, Starlin Castro. All these guys were top 100 guys. By 2015, Schwarber, rightfully so, top 100 prospect, along with Russell, KB, Soler, Javi again. So what do we think of how all that turned out? Some of those guys look pretty damn good. Some of those guys helped you win a World Series. A lot of them fell off the map real fast. And you wouldn't have given them long-term contracts, especially as you look now back at it. So I'm just saying, man, be careful. I want to see the young guys play. All right. Well, you're not the Pittsburgh friggin' Pirates, man. Bring the young guys. The Dodgers let the young guys play too, but they also go out and get Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. And they'll trade at the deadline for Trey Turner and Manny Machado. So, be the Dodgers. Don't be the Pirates. Be the Dodgers.
I would love to be the Dodgers. And I believe they're going to get Cody Bellinger signed, and then we'll see where we go from there. I'll get you tickets to the playoffs next year.
Let's see. Emergency podcast when they sign Bellinger. And then we'll
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about how they're running it back with a different
Wow.
manager.
Wow. Gordon, have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too, Cap.
It's my guy. It's Gordon Wittenmeyer. You can get our podcast on YouTube. Just look up Recap, REKAP, in my name, or audio only everywhere you get your favorite podcast. For Gordon, for me, I'm Cap. Have a great rest of your day. Take that.